Psalm 47 was about the king, and Psalm 48 is about the city of the king, about the city of Zion. And at first glance, it seems a little bit irrelevant to us. After all, Jerusalem is not the center of our focus. It's not the center of our existence. It's not somewhere we travel for pilgrim feasts and so on. But this psalm is still really, really important, I think, for us. And so you'll notice at the beginning this emphasis on the city of our God, the holy mountain, Mount Zion, the city, the citadels. But notice, it's not really about the city, it's that he has made himself known. The city itself, as special as it is just a city. Okay, and today the fact that Jerusalem is not in the same condition or playing the same role as it played then doesn't take away the value of this psalm, because the point of the psalm is not to point us to the city, but to allow the city to point us to God. And so what does it teach us about God? That's the thing we want to notice as we go through this psalm. And as we notice it, we can then think about applying it, even though we don't have kind of the city playing the role like I've already said. So notice that in verses 4 down to 8, there is the truth that God has established the city by conquering, defeating his enemies. It talks about the kings assembling, coming together. And just look at this language. As soon as they saw it, they were astounded, and they were in panic, and they took to flight. Trembling took hold of them, their anguish as of a woman in labor, and on it goes. And so God has defeated his enemies to establish the city, and then those who are his live in that city very blessed. Look at verse 9. We have thought on your steadfast love, O God. What a thing to ponder, in the midst of your temple. Now travel back in time and imagine what it was like to be living there in Jerusalem, to have the city, and there at the heart of the city, to have the temple itself, and to know that in the temple itself was that special place, that special room where the presence of God was dwelling in a unique way. There was no other city on earth that could compare with that reality. It's in the midst of the temple that they were able to ponder and think and chew on the reality of God's steadfast love. Why? Because God graces his people with his presence. In fact, you come down to the end of the psalm and it kind of gives an application. It says, go for a walk around the city, go around, number the towers, consider the ramparts, go through her citadels, that you may tell the next generation. Now, if I kept verse 14 hidden, you might think, tell the next generation about the glories of the city. No, that you may tell the next generation that this is God, our God forever and ever. He will guide us forever. The focus is God, not the city, right? And so what is it that God has done? He's defeated his enemies. He's made himself known, and he dwells with us to guide us forever. That was the truth of Psalm 48, a theologically rich image wrapped up in the city of Jerusalem. Today we don't live with Jerusalem as a focus. Now, of course, when you look towards the end of the Bible, look towards the future is far more city than it is garden. You know, people think about sort of returning to Eden. Not so much. It's the new Jerusalem coming down out of heaven onto earth. So however you work out future plans, and obviously we leave it to God ultimately to work that out, but there's going to be city, and all of these words that we're reading in Psalm 48 will be a rich experience for us in that future day. But for now, what's true? Well, God has defeated our enemies. Think of it in spiritual terms of how he's defeated sin and death. Think about how God has manifested himself to us and showed himself to us, that we can know him, so that we can ponder his steadfast love. Now, we don't have access to the temple. The temple doesn't exist now, but God has a temple, and that temple is us. His presence is dwelling in the midst of us, his temple. And so we can ponder his steadfast love, how he has conquered our enemies, how he's revealed himself to us, and how he is with us forever and ever to guide us forever. Just think about For example, the Great Commission, Matthew 28, where Jesus said, all authority on heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go make disciples of all nations. This is the age we're living in, right? Baptizing them and teaching them. And then verse 20, I am with you always to the end of the age. Think of John 14 as Jesus spoke to his disciples before he went to the cross. And they were concerned about him leaving, deeply distressed, really, about him going somewhere they couldn't go. But he said, it's okay, because there's going to be another comforter sent to you, and he will guide you into all truth. Look at the middle of John 14, verse 17, 25, 26, that section in the middle there. What we're reading about here in Psalm 48 will be true in the future as it was true in the past, but it's also true today. Even without a city, even without the temple, we are the temple. His presence is with us. He is with us, and he will guide us forever. It's a beautiful psalm. I encourage you to read it for yourself, the whole thing, and then share Psalm 48 with someone that could be encouraged by it.